Welcome back, guys. This is Thomas, and I love Christmas. I build my village every year, but I have this Naughty or Nice Santa that I've wanted to build a diorama for, and I've had the shelf that I wanted to put seasonal displays on, so I think I'm going to build something simple for this space. So first, just going to start off by building my backdrop and my floor. So the floor is just going to be a simple wood floor. I'm just going to carve out all the wood grains, nothing crazy. And then we're just going to make sure we're measuring all of our lines so everything's nice and good. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then we're going to magnetize this diorama. So just press the magnets in, and then we'll use my Dremel, cut the holes, and then hot glue these magnets in. Once everything is magnetized, we're just going to make sure that the backdrop and the floor are flush and everything seems to fit very well. So once this is all together, I'm just going to take my Santa and just see how he's scaling so far, and I think he's looking pretty good, so we're going to continue. Now, this was not a very well thought out project, so I didn't have much supplies, and normally I would make kind of the halfway wall boards with some popsicle sticks or some balsa wood, but I'm just going to carve them in right now and we'll paint them. It'll look just as good for what we need. Most of this is going to be covered by our fire mantle, so I don't see this being a huge problem. I'm scoring all the lines with a mechanical pencil right now, but the lead's not out. I'm just using the dull point of it, and I'm just scoring these lines, measuring, and going across the foam. This way it'll still have that nice line work, the indentations, and all that good stuff for us to make it look like it's actual wood paneling. Now I'm going to start cutting my fireplace, and I'm just going to take my time really cutting out the entryway of the fireplace because I don't want there to be any crumbly foam pieces at the corners. Sometimes if I'm cutting a corner like this and I'm rushing, I'll do that. So just take your time, make sure all the slices are nice and flat. And I'm using a bunch of scrap pieces. This fireplace is going to go on top of a bit of a step up. So we do have to carve some brick for that bottom step, and we'll do that as we're carving the brick for the fireplace and for that bottom piece. So I looked at a few pictures of fireplaces, so I'm just taking some inspiration from different ones, not really looking to match anything in particular, but just making sure that all my lines are even and everything is looking pretty uniform. So just using my ruler, I'm going to make sure that I'm trying to keep it as even as possible by not really following any kind of math here, so not really worried about scale. This is going to be super simple, but I think it's still going to come out looking good. So now I'm just going to do my up lines and make sure that those are all done. I'm at least keeping those all the same so everything's kind of on track, and then finish up that bottom piece before we can start working on the next bunch of details. So once the bottom piece is done and I'm happy with it, now we're going to move on to the top piece, which is the mantle. And this will be a wooden mantle, so I just have a flat scrap piece of foam, and I'm going to start taking my wire brush and start scraping all of the edges once I cut it to size. So I'm just going to cut all those wood grains in. I did the same thing for the floor, and it's going to fit right on top. Super simple. I think anyone can pretty much do this. So now that I have most of the carving done, I'm going to get Santa back in there. Looks like he fits pretty well. So I think we're ready to start painting. Just going to give this all a coat of black acrylic paint and Mod Podge just as a once over for extra protection. Get it in all the cracks, all the grooves, and then we can start putting some color on this thing. Now I'm going to start dry brushing some brick red onto the fireplace front and the bottom. I'm not really caking the paint on. I just want to kind of lightly get it in. I don't want to cover up any of that black that's in between the lines. I might have gone a little overboard in some places, but for the most part, I'm spreading it out and really just trying to work it in. Now, when it comes to the floor, I'm using a milk chocolate brown, and the floor is still wet with black, so I really wanted that to kind of blend in together. And we're going to do the mantle the same color as the floor, so it kind of matches. So we'll get that done. And then after we're done painting these few pieces, then we're going to start working on the wall, which is going to be sort of two-tone. So the bottom, the wood paneling, is going to be white, and we'll get that done. And then after that, I wanted the top wall to kind of contrast with Santa. So I had a darker red, but instead I went with this jolly green, and I think it looks pretty good. It actually dries darker than it paints, so I was really happy with the end results when that was finally done. Now, surprisingly, as long as I've been making dioramas, I've never actually used grout inside my brick because I haven't really made too many like building sides. So this will be the first time that I'm actually doing this. Probably used a little too much grout, but I really wanted to try it. And I can say this is probably one of the most fun, satisfying methods of diorama building that I wish I've done a lot more. So I'm going to have to do this in future projects. But basically, you just use wall spackle and you get it in all the grooves that you carved into the brick. And for this, I have to make sure that I'm getting into the inner walls. And then once you take a piece of cardboard, you just wipe it away, and it's probably one of the most satisfying things ever. If you heard of Dr. Pimple Popper, I hate watching those videos, but I would watch videos of people doing this all day. It just comes out looking so good, it adds so much, and I can't believe it took me this long to actually do it for the first time. Now I'm going to start gluing certain pieces onto different points of the project. So as the front facing part of the fireplace, this is going to get glued to the back of the wall paneling, and then I'm going to glue that mantle right on top. So that'll fit right there. And then I'm going to glue that bottom piece that is the bottom of the fireplace. That's going to go on the base. This way it's almost like these interlocking pieces, and it gives a little extra support when I'm putting the backdrop on. So everything fits great there. Looking good. One last step I have to do for the wall is add some molding, and you could make this out of foam, but I was in Hobby Lobby and I picked these up. I picked two different kinds. So right now I'm using the floorboards and just cutting out a few pieces that I'm using for the bottoms, and I'm going to use the same exact pieces for the top or the middle, and I'm just flipping them upside down so that they look a little different. So those are on, and that kind of completes the look of that wood panel. And then I did buy some crown molding, so we're going to cut a piece to fit the top, cut that to size, and then we'll get that on the top there. I mentioned earlier this was not a well thought out project, and when I built the fireplace, I then realized I had to build fire. I had no idea how to do that, so I watched a bunch of craft videos of miniature makers, mostly people that make dollhouses. And if you're a diorama builder and you don't see a lot of action figure diorama ideas, always go to those people that build different things. And if I find the name of the channel that I found, this was a method that she used. She just used yellow and orange tissue paper, and luckily I have one of these tea lamps that flickers. So you just glue this paper along the edges, and then it does kind of emulate fire. I was worried this would look a little arts and craftsy, but it actually does come out pretty well. When I was doing it, it looked a little weird, but when you turn the light on, it is pretty cool. So I really wasn't sure how this would look, but actually when you do turn the light on, it looks pretty cool. So from up close, maybe not so much, but when you turn the light on and get closer, it does kind of emulate fire a little bit. So I have a few more accessories to add, this carpet that I bought at Hobby Lobby. So let's get all that stuff on and check this out. Alright guys, this one is done. I started this yesterday. Talk about waiting until the last minute, but I know most people are probably celebrating Christmas Eve right now, so I don't know how many people would even see this, but I had a great time making this. This one was so much fun, and I've actually wanted to do this since last year when I got this figure. I just ran out of time. But this is something I can add to every year. You know, if I want to add some more details. That top piece looks a little empty, but I thought most people put a big family photo above their mantle, so maybe I'll put a picture of the dogs. Maybe this will be an active picture frame that I pull out every Christmas season, and I think that'd be really cool. So I think a picture of my dogs would actually look pretty good up there. So guys, if you do happen to be home and checking out this video, I do appreciate your time. Hope everyone has happy holidays, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm still going to be posting a lot of videos throughout this week since I have a lot of time off, but I'm really glad I was able to get one last diorama project in before the end of the year. So with that being said, you guys have a good one, and we'll catch you next time.